Ever notice how, even in a totally quiet room, your mind can be the loudest thing around? Well, in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into the architecture of our restless minds to figure out what's really going on in there.
You know the feeling, right? You're trying to unwind, maybe get some work done, or just fall asleep, and it's like your brain just refuses to get the memo. It's busy replaying conversations, stressing about tomorrow, or just jumping from one random thought to the next. Man, it can be exhausting.
But here's the most important thing to get right from the very beginning. This isn't a sign that your brain is broken. It's not a bug, it's a feature. All that mental chatter is actually a sign that your brain is firing on all cylinders, doing the exact things that helped us humans survive for thousands of years.
Okay, so if a busy mind is just normal, why does it feel so incredibly noisy, especially when everything around you is perfectly still? Well, it turns out that internal noise isn't just one single thing. It's more like a symphony of different signals going on at once.
Think of it like this. The feeling of a loud mind is really a combination of three different layers. You've got your basic biological wiring, then you add your emotional state on top of that, and finally you have the pressures of modern life, which basically just turns the volume knob way up.
To really get this, let's use an analogy. Let's imagine your internal noise is like 3 different radio stations inside your head, each broadcasting something different. So let's tune in and see what's playing on each one.
First up, we have the background radio. This is your brain's default setting, what scientists call mind wandering. It's run by something called the default mode network, and it kicks on whenever you're not focused on something specific. It's basically your brain's internal storyteller, just constantly spinning tales about your past, your future, and your place in the world.
Next, you've got the worry loop. This is when the radio gets stuck on one track and just plays it over and over and over again. Psychologists call this rumination. It's that awful feeling of being trapped by a single thought, endlessly replaying a mistake or a fear without ever getting to a solution. And finally, there's the emergency alarm. This is what happens when our nervous system gets stuck in that fight or flight mode. It's a state of hyper-arousal where your mind just creates this storm of fast, urgent, chaotic thoughts. It's acting like you're in danger, even when you're totally safe. This slide just lays it all out so perfectly. You can see the background radio is that sort of gentle, daydreamy state, which is linked to that default mode network. Then there's the worry loop, which feels sticky and repetitive. That's a sign of impaired memory control. And then you have the emergency alarm, which is pure chaos, driven by a stressed-out nervous system. They all feel different because they all are different. And this right here is such a crucial distinction to make. Mind wandering feels like your focus is just kind of gently drifting away down a lazy river. But racing thoughts, that feels like you've been thrown into a powerful rapid. It's fast, it's overwhelming, and you feel totally out of control. So, all of this leads us to this massive misconception that so many of us have. We have this idea floating around that the goal is total mental silence. And if we can't get there, well, there must be something wrong with us. Yeah, no. Based on everything we know about how the brain actually works, that idea is just completely false. Our brains are not designed to be empty. So here's the reality check. Your brain's default state is activity. That default mode network is built for storytelling, not for being silent. And you know what happens when you try to force your thoughts to stop? It usually backfires. It's kind of like when someone tells you, don't think of a white bear. What's the first thing you think of? A white bear. It makes the thoughts come back even stronger. Okay, so if our brains are naturally busy, why on earth does it feel so much more intense these days? Well, it's because modern life has its hand firmly on the volume knob and it's cranking it up. Seriously, the modern world is like a volume knob for our inner noise, and it is cranked up to 11. We've got constant pings from our phones, an endless stream of news, chronic stress from work and life, and this culture of constant comparison on social media. It all just pours fuel on our brain's already busy fire. And the results of all this, many of us are walking around in this low-grade, chronic state of fight or flight. Our internal alarm system is just always on, constantly scanning for the next threat. And that makes true mental rest and recovery incredibly hard to find. So, if we can't just smash the radio and turn it off, what are we supposed to do? Well, the good news is we can learn to tune it. We can learn to adjust the volume and maybe even change the station to something a little more peaceful. And this is probably the single biggest takeaway here. The goal is not to declare war on your thoughts. It's to learn how to change your relationship with them, to see them as just passing events, kind of like clouds drifting through the sky, instead of treating them like absolute commands that you have to follow. Now, to turn down that emergency alarm station, you often have to start with your body, not your mind. These three things are super powerful ways to send a safety signal to your nervous system. Moving your body helps burn off stress hormones. Slow breathing literally activates your body's rest and digest mode. And getting enough sleep, well, that's just fundamental for resetting your entire system.
And to deal with that worry loop, we can actually train our attention. Think of your attention like a muscle. Practices like meditation, where you just gently bring your focus back to your breath over and over, actually strengthen your ability to choose where your attention goes. It helps you guide your mind instead of just being dragged along for the ride.
And look, it's so important to say this. If this inner noise is really getting in the way of your life, seeking professional support is a sign of strength. It's not a weakness. Therapy can give you specific, tailored tools to help untangle these thought patterns and really calm your nervous system down.
So what's the bottom line here? The noise in your head isn't proof that you're broken. It's proof that you're human. It's the sound of your amazing brain doing its job, learning, planning, and trying its best to keep you safe. And understanding that is the first step, not toward silencing your mind, but toward finding a little bit of peace right in the middle of all that beautiful noise.